team playing in its first ever Final Four.
And Alabama is the heavy underdog against the University of Connecticut, but they've been red hot since a conversation with a certain legendary football coach. WBRC's Jake Stansel joins us live now from the desert to explain. Jake, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, we are in Old Scottsdale right now. You can probably see the sign behind me here, just kind of showcasing more of Arizona. But as you mentioned from the top, they're underdogs. And you look at this game specifically between Alabama and UConn. There's an 11.5 point spread in this game. And look, the players, the team, they hear the disrespect. Tide players, they're using that as motivation. But as you mentioned as well, Nate Oates went to hear from another legendary head coach in Nick Saban, who has won a good bit of national championships with the Alabama football team, as Alabama is in the Final Four for the first time in program history, chasing their own first ever national championship. And here's what Nate Oates had to say about his conversation with Nick Saban following that early exit from the SEC championship game.
I talked to Coach Saban after we lost in the SEC tournament. I think just about every year he won a national championship, they lost at some point during the year. And football's obviously different. There's a lot more games in basketball. But like this year, they lost the Texas game, and he did an unbelievable job getting the season turned around. Coach, you got to get you guys, they got to go to the next play. And we kind of talked about that a little bit as a group, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to make this real simple. We're going to come in, we're just next.
And this Alabama basketball team, look, they've been looking like a completely different team this postseason. That has really been the motto, just next, on to the next. But this is their biggest test yet against UConn. And as I talked about yesterday, you could use any term you want for this UConn team. Juggernaut, buzzsaw. They have been steamrolling through teams, and Alabama is going to need to play their best basketball yet in this game. We're going to have plenty more to come later today. We have open practice with Alabama and more media availability with the team, so plenty more coverage coming your way here out west. In Scottsdale, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Well, the excitement is building. We are just a day away from the big game. Tomorrow night, for the very first time, the Alabama men's basketball team will be in the Final Four facing the University of Connecticut. Our Jake Stansel joins us now live from outside the Phoenix Convention Center with more on this big game. Hey, Jake.
Hey Claire, how's it going? Coming here from downtown Phoenix, where they're getting ready for Fan Fest here. The street is about to be packed, but kind of looking at Alabama, Final Four for the first time in program history. Kind of a look back at their path to get here as we look at this big bracket here in downtown Phoenix, Alabama. Look at, there we go, in the Final Four here, and kind of getting a look of where we're at here in downtown Phoenix. Again, this street's going to be packed here in a little bit, getting ready for Fan Fest going on here. But I want to talk a little bit about the connection with Nate Oates and the Hurleys. You think about Nate Oates when he was a high school coach back in Detroit, and then Bobby Hurley, who's the head coach at Arizona State. That's not too far from where we're at right now. Bobby Hurley brought Nate Oates to Buffalo, and eventually from there, Nate Oates became the head coach at Buffalo before coming to Alabama. So he's familiar with the Hurleys. The Hurleys recruited some of the players that Nate Oates coached when he was a high school math teacher and a high school basketball coach. So there's familiarity there, a lot of connections. And here's what Nate Oates had to say about playing Dan Hurley.
His brother Bobby is the one that got me in this business. If it wasn't for Danny and Bobby, I wouldn't be here, and we're playing each other in Bobby's town down here in Phoenix. So it's kind of funny how it comes full circle, but it'd be nice if I wasn't having to play against Danny's team, because it's a pretty good team.
You heard Nate Oates just say it at the end there that, hey, there's a familiar connection there. Happy to see them again, but maybe not happy to play the type of team that UConn is. But Alabama in the Final Four for the first time in program history. That door is wide open for them to try to win their first national championship in program history. But we have plenty more coming today. We're going to hear from the teams. We're going to get over to open practice here in a little bit. Plenty more coverage coming away as we get ready for Alabama in the Final Four here in Phoenix. Out west, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Very exciting, Jake. Thank you so much. Well,
Tide play their first ever Final Four matchup.
And of course, it'll be in State Farm Stadium against UConn late Saturday night just outside of Phoenix, where we find our Jake Stansel tonight, getting ready for Saturday's game with our first live piece of coverage tonight, Jake.
Hey guys, yeah, live from out west here in Glendale, Arizona. We are just outside State Farm Stadium. Look, we started this tournament with 4 teams from Alabama, but the Crimson Tide are standing here in the Final Four for the first time in program history. As you can see, the road ends here, and you've heard Nate Oates talk about it a good bit. They want to keep knocking on the door, not just this season, but for years to come. And what better chance with that door wide open right now, but they get the top dogs, the Huskies, #1 UConn. I mean, you can use whatever term you want, juggernaut, buzzsaw. You can count on your hand the amount of close games that UConn has played this season. But here's some good news, Tide fans. Players spoke for the first time today with open locker room availability. Latrell Wrightsell was asked, would he be able to go on Saturday? And he said he will. He will be good to go. He practiced for the first time since his injury earlier this week on Tuesday. But this is going to be probably the Tide's, it is going to be the Tide's biggest test this season to try to punch their ticket to the national championship game.
We're going to show our guys success other teams have had, and the success that other teams have had, we also do those things very well. We just can't give them these big runs that everybody gives up. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, but, over 40 minutes, we're going to be in there. We got a chance. We played some of the best teams in the country.
UConn actually rolled in a little bit late this morning. They had some technical issues, mechanical issues with the plane and dealing with some weather. So the team just got here earlier this morning. They are late to the party, but the Tide getting ready to tip off just 2 days away. They will have open practice tomorrow. We'll hear from the team again, and we have plenty more coverage coming your way. Out here in Phoenix, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
In the Huskies' Final Four of the NCAA tournament, a win over the Huskies, and the Tide could play for the national title on Monday night.
Our Jake Stansel joins us now live from the State Farm Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona, where those teams will be tipping off tomorrow night. Exciting times.
Yeah, here we go. The stage is set inside State Farm Stadium. This is where Alabama will be playing tomorrow, and Alabama is feeling loose. You might have seen that video circulating on social media. Nick Pringle walking out to open practice with that boombox on his shoulders, playing those tunes. And listen, Nate Oates has said there's no reason Alabama should feel any pressure playing the #1 seed UConn. And you look at the beginning of the season where Alabama was predicted to finish the middle of the table in the SEC. Alabama, they hear the doubters, that motivates them, and they are riding this prove them wrong train. Take a listen.
We just want to prove everybody wrong. I feel like coming into just about every game in this tournament, we were projected to lose. Like, people were thinking we're going to lose because we can't guard. So I just think our mentality coming in for the rest of this tournament is just keep proving everybody wrong.
I don't know why they don't like Alabama. I really don't. Like, the media, like, nobody likes Alabama, really, to be honest. So I'm kind of, even last year, like, we were the best team in the country, still everybody had a problem with us. So I think it's kind of like, I'm used to it now.
Prove them wrong. I feel like just about every Alabama player that we spoke with said those words. We had a chance to catch up with Latrell Wrightsell. He said he is 100%. He will suit up and he'll be back joining that prove them wrong train. Game Final Four going down here tomorrow. Live in Phoenix, Jake Stansel from State Farm. Jake from State Farm had to do it. I am wearing khakis as well. I had to hit you with that joke. We'll send it back to you guys.
Okay. All right.
Laugh, y'all, but we've got a countdown going here, and there are some fans in our newsroom who are paying attention to this thing by the second. 1 day, 1 hour, 42 minutes, and coming up on 1 second until they play Connecticut. That's 7:50 tomorrow night in Glendale, Arizona, assuming, of course, that Game 1 ends on time. Fingers crossed for that. Our Jake Stansel is in Glendale live to get you ready for the game, Jake, and after the first shoot-around, Bama getting some shots up inside what's going to be a much different environment.
That's right, guys. It's Friday, Final Four Friday. Here you can get a good look at the stadium behind me here. This is where the Final Four will be going down. Alabama here for the first time in program history. They had their last practice of the day, getting ready for the game tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about Mark Sears. And Nate Oates has talked about how Sears has been a catalyst for Alabama's March Madness run here. He was one of the best players in the SEC during the regular season. Alabama's going to need Sears to be a star against the top-ranked Huskies. And if you were to ask Mark Sears himself, he's not happy just making the Final Four. He wants to win the whole thing.
That's when we started to soak everything in because, you know, they were celebrating us and we got to see the trophy and people were handing us gifts and stuff. And I say it really stopped when we just started watching film. You know, we realized that we're here and we're not here to be satisfied just because we made it. You know, we want to prove more people wrong, and that's what we stand.
You know what, I think he's done a better job encouraging his teammates, talking in the huddles. You know, we got to get stops. You know, he comes in, he's a lot more vocal.
Mark Sears, obviously a big reason why the Tide is in this position right now. But can we see the Crimson Tide play that elite type of basketball they've been playing this whole postseason during March Madness? And can they take down the top-ranked UConn Huskies? We're going to find out tomorrow inside State Farm Stadium. Well, plenty more to come as we get you ready for tip-off. Live in Glendale, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
From the Crimson Tide facing the Huskies in the Final Four of the NCAA tournament.
Alabama hoping for a historic win over UConn that would take them to the championship game. Jake Stansel joins us from State Farm Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona, where those teams will tip off tomorrow night. Jake.
Hey guys, yeah, much different story weather-wise here in Glendale. It was a little bit warmer yesterday. Colder here with the wind picking up. We're just a distance away here from State Farm Stadium behind me. But here's some cold, hard facts. Alabama is 11.5 point underdogs to UConn. And bring on the doubt, says Alabama. They use that as motivation. And talking with a number of the players today, they're happy to be here in the Final Four, the first time in program history, but they're not satisfied. They want to go and win this whole thing. And Nate Oates has said it time and time again that the Tide should feel no pressure in this game. Alabama was predicted to finish middle of the table in the SEC, and here they are in the Final Four, one win away from playing in the national championship game. And if you think Alabama wants to prove people wrong, well, take a listen to this. Do you feel like this team likes the doubters? Do you guys listen to any of that noise out there?
Yeah, I mean, every time we've been doubted, we've proved people wrong.
We realized that we're here and we're not here to be satisfied just because we made it. You know, we want to prove more people wrong.
Just trying to go in there and prove more people wrong.
I just think our mentality coming in for the rest of this tournament is just keep proving everybody wrong.
I don't know why they don't like Alabama. I really don't. Like, the media, like, nobody likes Alabama, really, to be honest. So even last year, like, we were the best team in the country. Still, everybody had a problem with us. So I think it's kind of like, I'm used to it now.
We sleep in May, right? Listen, one more sleep before we tip this thing off. Inside State Farm Stadium, Alabama, we're going to look to see if we can see that top offense we've seen this postseason in the March Madness tournament. Alabama taking on the UConn Huskies, looking to upset them tomorrow. Here in Phoenix, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Public. Jake Stansel is in Scottsdale, Arizona right now. And Jake, you seen a lot of Crimson Tide fans right now?
Hey Sheldon, we saw a few kind of hopping around Scottsdale. We're actually in downtown Phoenix right now for the Fan Fest. Doors open at noon. But if you know anybody, Bama fans, if you have any of your friends, family members that are in Phoenix, this is going to be the place to be. That's the doors again open at noon. I mean, there's a basketball court, hoops, every corner you turn. And there's a lot to do here to get you ready for the big game tomorrow. But we've seen with this Alabama team, storylines each game they played to get to the Final Four, the first Final Four appearance in program history. You think about Jaron Stevenson, the type of game he had against UNC. Grant Nelson, Jaron Stevenson, the game against Clemson, and then Grant Nelson, that game against UNC. I mean, it's just been another level after another level with this Alabama team. They've been playing elite basketball, but can they do it against the Huskies and have some really good shots here? And we talked about with Nate Oates just about the mentality this team is riding in this tournament, in this game against UConn. And here's a little bit more about what Oates had to say.
Our mindset with these guys have been, guys, if we're back healthy and have the #1 offense in the country like we had when we were healthy, and we can be a top 20 to 30 defense, we can make a Final Four run.
All All right, so here, check this out. We got the trophy right here behind us. This is what they're going to be playing for. If they can get past UConn, punch their ticket to the national championship game. It is all shined up right now, looking nice, but that could be Alabama's. If they get past UConn, get to the national championship game. We have plenty more coming today. We got open media availability. We're going to have practice, shoot around, so plenty more to come your way here from Phoenix. Out west, Jake Stansel, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.